Okay. Ugh. A little bit burned out. Not gonna lie about that. Ugh. Hopefully adjustments I've made to not only this setup, but the camera and everything help out a little bit here. I've changed the focus setting on the camera so that it should pick up a lot more of like an area before it gets blurry. Something I've been trying to work on. I'm gonna need more lighting if I want it to be better, is the problem. Like a lot more. I need another one of these lights that I have up top. Because I kind of want to go to like a 12 focal point. That way you guys can clearly see everything. But in order to do that, I gotta blast this table with light. I might pull back a little bit. There you go. We got a lot to do on him. We got a lot of things I want to push, brighten up a little bit. I did a little bit of work off stream to try some stuff out. In particular, we got like the gemstones. I figured out a way to actually do them as sort of like a yeah, these are always so tiny to show off. As a sort of non-gemstone gemstone. Focus. Do it. Basically, the area over top of where we were working. We apply a little bit of contrast to just darken it from a certain angle, then hit it with a little bit of yellow and a dot to give it a reflective light. It's not the best. It doesn't look amazing. But it kind of works. We got to work up the horns a little more. There's things to do. But we are getting kind of close. Just a little close. Need to work up the leather strapping on him. Bit to do. Try to get these little tags done. Oh, I also re-flatted over the weaponry. Decided to re-flat the weaponry so we can try again. I didn't quite like how they looked in the style we painted them with, like the sort of heated black stone. It just didn't feel right. Didn't play this weekend, no. This weekend was a bit stressful. My car, since I think Thanksgiving, the coolant was leaking out of it. The coolant and the antifreeze, it's all one thing. It was leaking out of it, and I was pretty sure it was because the reservoir was cracked. I took it to a garage. They were like, we didn't see anything. I was like, okay. They were like, all right, we'll just refill it, and if it still happens, bring it back in. And it still happened. I showed up at my friend's house, like, last month, and it was for, like, a whole weekend I was going to be there, and my coolant was empty, so I had to, like, drive to go get coolant and refill it. And this time around, they were like, yeah, we found the leak. It is the coolant. You know, so vindication there. But between paying quarterly taxes and needing to prepare to like take a hit for a car repair, I was like, oh, this is gonna suck. But it wasn't so bad. I was actually so happy with it that I almost bought a box of Kyrics, because I've been eyeballing them for a while now. Went to my local game store and was like, yeah, I'll take them. They weren't there. It's a common curse with local game stores. That box of Kyrex was sitting on the shelf at that store for over 2 years. No one ever seemed to want them. And then the one day that my brain went, you know what? We're doing all right. We're not doing as bad as I thought. Let's go get those Kyrex. The exact same time, someone knew. Someone knew they also wanted to go get those Kyrex. And it was over for me. You are already dead. It's probably a good thing, because I do kind of want to play an all Tzeentch demon army for 40k. And at this point, going over how to do it, even though it's not going to be strong, I want to do the Grot Mist attachment, and it's kind of in preparation for the Demon Codex to drop. Because hopefully there's going to be a Tzeentch only detachment in that book as well. But we were looking at it, and stats-wise, there's one of two things you can do. There's an anti-infantry approach, which is to basically maximize the amount of flamers you have, because those things hit freaking hard. And having them just deep strike next to a squad and then end it is pretty insane. Thing two is that you take a boatload of screamers. As many screamers as you humanly can. You do not need them to have a leader. Because the Fate Skimmer that they can take as a leader, not that good. Like, genuinely just not that good. Those points are better spent elsewhere. For, like, blue horrors or something. But I'm working very hard on getting my triple bird Tzeentch Demon Army list together. So the next step is 4 boxes of Screamers. And I was like, all right, let's see which discount store's selling them. 'Cause that's going to be an expensive hit. And I think because they changed them on the data sheets, I think everyone and their mom went, I guess I need Screamers, because they're out now. They're gone. They're just, I can't get them. They're absolutely just shreked. Nowhere on the, oh god, nowhere on the marketplace. It's like they were never there to begin with. Is this my Wild Rider? It is. So that's the next thing I want, though. I want all of those Screamers so that I can have... I genuinely want to play them, because I think they're Beast. They're not Cavalry. They can go through walls, and that's horrifying for something that can move 14 inches. That has so many built-in functions to just blow tanks up. Like, they're scary. They're genuinely scary. This weekend, though, Saturday, I got a game of Kill Team. Yay. question is, which team do I take? This is the struggle. I think the person I'm playing might still be playing Commandos. I can't be sure. Although I think they were really looking into Ratlings, so they might have the Ratlings together. The question is, do I continue playing my Mandrakes? He's already played into my Mandrakes once before. Maybe the lessons learned will help him out a little bit. Or do I dip into the wild and crazy collection that I just happen to have? To pull up some maybe more interesting potentials. I was debating rocking the Gellerpox because those guys are going to be gone like pretty quickly. I don't know how long they're going to last as a team. Like they definitely kind of phoned in. I feel like the rules for them, they don't feel that great anymore, and there's reason, I mean, I guess, behind it. It could also just be that Astartes are very strong right now in both ranged and melee, so it's very difficult to play the Gellerpox in that situation because they're a close range team that kind of sucks at close range. They're not that great. That's the question. Do I pick some rando offbeat team to just try out that maybe isn't being talked about as much? I've test played the Harlequins twice. And I think they could be pretty good. Those are also a 1 year only, though. Let's get some of these gems done. So we started with a fluorescent green. I'm going to be moving over to Aldari Emerald to darken them up a little bit. And the way this works out is that you kind of just water it down. I usually water it a little on my wet palette. You can just wet the brush and then put it in the contrast if you want. And then the goal is to just hit the top part of the gem with it just a little bit. Let it settle in. Leave the bottom kind of open. Because gems are usually a bit darker at the top just with how light cast works. Because it like goes into the gem and reflects out. So you just kind of tap the top of it. I do need to get more games in of something. Kill Team, 40k, AOS. I need to start looking around again for more tournaments. Get some proper games under my belt. I always feel like I'm so close, right, to knowing what to do. Just so close to having that moment of like an epiphany where I'm like, oh, maybe I don't do that. And the next thing you know, I'm just like 20 points up. Right? Like, that's the crazy part about 40k to me. And I want to get to that place mentally in it where I'm like, oh, let's do it. And then my brain's like, no. Stop it. You push that forward, that's how you lose, buddy. And then to have that patience of going, you're right, brain. I'll listen to you today. But don't betray me. Because I'm telling you, the few games I've had where I've been able to like have the mental fortitude to go, nah. I think I'll wait. I think I'll hold off. I'm in a very strong position now. I don't see the reason to give that up. Those are the games I've almost won every time. Like some of them, genuinely the rolling that happens, that's the reason why I lose. Like I know a lot of people are like, don't blame the rolls. No. Definitely blame the rolls if there is a key point in the game where you're like do or die. And then you do, and then you absolutely die. Right? Like it's just there's no way around it. You're going to fail. The situation is dire. Like the second tournament I went to, I decided to play Chaos Knights, which they're not good. They're not in a good spot right now. I'm super glad that they changed the rule today, or I think yesterday or last night, with the Grotmist detachment, because the Grotmist detachment read like if anyone that I was playing against with that detachment had damned units, I could kill them for benefits. Like I could point to their squad and be like, I'm sacrificing your units for my benefit. And that's kind of the moment of like, what? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, that's how the rule works. They fixed it. You can only target allied damned units with the requirement for your benefits. So, you know, good things, good things. But I was playing Knights because I do feel like Knights are a good introductory team for people who just kind of want to try things or get used to like the speed of play that the game comes with. Because seriously, the whole purpose of it is to slowly build up pacing, knowledge, knowing when to ask certain questions, what those questions need to be. Like it just helps. And I'm not managing like 100 on-field models. It's practically like playing Kill Team as a 40k army. But an entire tournament of that. 3 whole rounds. 1 day. I guess I should describe this. The build I was going for involved a Chaos Knight Castigator, which provides sustained hits to things within a certain range of it. It used a Chaos Knight Desecrator? Despoiler. It's the las cannon one. It provides rerolls of 1s to hit as an aura. And pretty much everything else on that field was a Brigand, which means hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, sustained 6s. Lots of shots. And I was like, yes. At the very least, this will be a little bit fun. Right? Like, I'll at least provide someone a slight moment of, and then maybe they beat me. Who knows? But the entire time I was playing felt like every roll I made was just like, all right, I'm taking 20 shots. Okay, I missed 15 times with 1s. Oh, thank God I can re-roll these. Okay, so I only picked up 2 additional bullets from this. No sustains. What's happening? Like, that was my entire game. Hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, I was still missing like 30% of my attacks. I was not happy. Genuinely don't know how that happens to someone, but it happened to me, so yay. So, moral of the story, kids. Reroll, or freaking how your dice rolls during a game, it is actually important that you roll well. You roll poorly, you're going to lose regardless of what happens. Regardless of how brilliant your strategy is. How hard you push to do exactly what needs to be done. Yeah, you're going to lose. Bright gold. We're going to try to highlight the metallics with brighter metallics. But yeah, we've got a game this Saturday. Looking forward to it. A lot of new players are asking for combat patrol games. I was debating telling someone, all right, well, I have a kill team game at this time. It should take between 2 and 3 hours, depending on how well we're focusing. And then I'll be able to play a combat patrol after that. You know, because I love my brain being 100% fried. Why not? Bright gold. Probably not a good idea to go live at like 2:30. The normal drop off for my viewership is at like 3 o'clock. I still want to paint though, so screw it, whatever. F it, we ball. Still haven't played more time. There's a lot of people around here who keep talking it up. But I never see anyone asking to play it. It's kind of weird. It's one of those awkward games of, yo, it's so good. Hey, you want to play? No. Okay. Bright gold. I have a feeling the new model is going to be like wider than this one. I don't know. It's going to be awkward, I think. We gotta be very careful here. Do you think we need to hit most of the gold with the Druchii Violet shader? Try to like space it out a little bit with the details. There is a lot of inlay detail with the gold itself that's very difficult to pick up with just simple color. It's got to have like a different tone. Drucci Violet. Drop it down here. Question is, do I put magnets in this guy's base and then take him with me to the store to hang out and paint for a little bit? I don't know. I always feel weird doing that because sometimes it feels like a flex move depending on like the model. I kind of don't want to be that guy, but at the same time, this thing was mildly expensive. Kinda wanna be that guy. Hey everyone, I'm just sitting here painting a almost $300 model. No issues, no issues. What? 30K? Nah, I don't even play it. This is for a different format. The rules aren't even out yet for, you know. Whatever, whatever. What did I end up doing with the Jets? I just did them white. I never actually touched them with anything else, which is good. Because I just bought blue fluorescent, which is what I've been trying to wait for. Still don't quite know how we're gonna do his blades, but I think we have one more try at them before I'm gonna start losing too much detail. Having gone over them twice now. It's not a good thing. So at this point, I'm basically just stalling for time. trying to think of what to do. Simultaneously doing nothing. Get some Seraphim Sepia on the bones here. Try to get these eyes on his little cross cover here. This is going to be a little rough. Eyes are always a struggle to paint. Even at large scale, freaking hate it. I think I might try to make some of the purple armor pop. I don't know. It might end up as being too much of a struggle. Because I don't want it to go lilac. Like his groin plate here. I'm not sure if the so flat purple that I have is gonna pull it into like a more saturated or a darker purple. Because I want it to be a little bit more saturated. Use that as a baseline and then work it up a little bit with some properly bright blue. I do need to do it a little bit back here. Some water, I think. I'm freaking thirsty. Water achieved. Okay, what next? Let's try to spruce up some purple. We'll see if this actually works. Closer to a more saturated purple. Yep, seems to work. It's like a little more clear, at least on my end. Like the issue is this camera picking up colors. I don't know how it's gonna do it. These colors are super vibrant. So there's always the issue of, will the camera actually see what I'm doing? Might need to work this back area up a little bit. I know it's not like a primary component to the character. I do feel like there's value in its detail. Helps push the purple a little bit more, which is good. Definitely needed that. Thing is, I might have to mix colors here. I want an extremely light pink. Normally that pink was aptly named Fulgrim. But I'm not seeing it in my box anymore, which means it must have dried out forever ago. And then I threw it out. So I'm probably going to need to mix a pink, which is fine. Just a little white, a little pink, it's good. Before that, though, I do think I want to pick up a little bit of sort of like the brightened feather tips. Specifically on his little emblem here. We got to be very careful with it, because the white that I have is pretty coating. This is the question. So my chat box only has one person saying one thing in it, and it's had that this whole time. And historically, YouTube chat has frozen on me, so I'm not super sure. I'm guessing that that's the case, because this is normally a very slow time for people to hang out and talk and watch. But just in case, I'm gonna reload this page. Ah, yeah. Oh, what up, Spruget? And that's fine. I just have zero faith in YouTube, the chat box not freezing. So I just wanted to make sure. So let's try to make a fairly light pink. That we can use to kind of enhance and push some of the elements on his face. I do think that would be fairly useful. To push the detail a little bit more. Mauler Fiend. Nice. I feel like the Fiends, Forge and Mauler, I feel like Hellbrutes. I feel like most of the standardized tanks are going to be pretty safe in Emperor's Children. I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to do them again. I already have 1 Mauler Fiend, 2 Forge Fiends for my Thousand Sons. And I would have to do more if I wanted them to look cool with my Emperor's Children. I'm hoping Emperor's Children maybe let me lean into like some weird things. Rather than be like, oh, let me just go 3 Mauler Fiends again. Or something. Like, I don't want to just be like, oh yeah. Right? Oh, cool. Let me make some more, Venom Crawlers, because I painted my Venom Crawlers to look like my Thousand Sons, and then I used them in my Chaos Space Marine Vashdor army that is designed to look like my Thousand Sons, so that I can use my Forge Fiends and Mauler Fiends in it, and they all look perfect together. I might try to do something different with his hair. I feel like his hair stands out too much. Well, not stands out, doesn't stand out too much. So I kind of have an idea. I need to find my pastel blue. Hell yeah, Seafoam. But yeah, I'm gonna be very mad to a degree if the Emperor's Children Codex comes out and is like, you're gonna really want Mauler Fiends and Forge Fiends. Like, you assholes. I already have them, but they don't look like Emperor's Children models. No. Okay, I am a little bit worried about doing this. I'm pretty sure I can fix it if I don't like it. But I do feel like if it goes wrong, I'm not going to be that happy. Ooh, it actually looks really good. It's like slightly tinting everything, and then we're gonna go back over it in white when it's all done. This almost sounds like the Proto Man song at the end of a Mega Man game. Poggers. Oh, subscription. I could easily see Mauler Fiends working. Easily. I kind of hope that the Ford or Hellbrutes get like a fun bonus, or maybe that there's like by that time they release an alternate variant of a Dreadnought. And that, like, all armies can get it, but Emperor's Children are the ones that get, like, a specific version or something. Because I kind of don't like Hellbrutes. Which I'm not happy with. When I used to play back in... God, what was it? 3rd, 4th? No, I think it was 5th when I did this. I did a triple Dreadnought Chaos Space Marine list because the Dreadnoughts had a possibility of berserking. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever. Because if you played your strategy around that, you were actually really well off. So the trick was to put on field your Dreadnoughts in a position where they could only see the enemy. And then you kind of prayed that you rolled for the berserking double shoot. Because double shoot would target the closest visible target, ally or enemy, and fire twice at it. That was a pretty poggers with like a plasma cannon. I do feel like I'm going to be focusing way more on just units though. With Emperor's Children. Because I mean, Emperor's Children are the, hey, we're all drugged up. Let's go do some stuff army. And I feel like tanks, even though they'll probably have some pretty good benefits, it just doesn't feel right compared to maybe like some weird form of almost like kind of possessed, but not really. No, yeah, Hellbrutes right now I'm not happy with. I think they phoned them in a little too much. And it wouldn't have been so bad if I thought the Space Marine ones were the same, but then the Space Marines got like 12 different new kinds of friggin' dreadnoughts that are they're all over the place. You can go like, oh, this is really good melee. This is amazing ranged firehouse situation. Like it. Cool, thanks. I really wish you guys maybe expanded a little bit elsewhere. But we got Forge Fiends, we got Mauler Fiends. Those are kind of our variants. They're just extremely large. They're only slightly smaller than Mutalith Vortex Beasts. But whatever. You know, we live with it. We adapt. Technically, I shouldn't even be using them all that much in Thousand Suns. They're not really that great. The Cabal point increase is not good. It's the kind where you have to have the Cabal points in order to get the Cabal point back. It doesn't just reduce cost of abilities in the area. It's straight up just like, yeah, you gotta have the points to spend the points. And then I'll refund you one. And a non-stacking aura. It's not good. I think the biggest benefit for the Hellbrute on Thousand Suns is the 5+ invulnerable. That's pretty cool. That gets people. That catches people off guard when they're like, it's just a Hellbrute. It's a little durable, but I'll deal with it. I'll hit it with like a las cannon. It'll die. Oh, 5+ invuln? Oh. Oh no. Like changes the game on how to kill a Hellbrute. Oh yeah. The thing is, as always, as apparently with most game stores, local game shop situations, the bulk of the players are all playing Space Marine. Right? Like, that's what they play. It's how it is. It's how the game's sort of designed, to get you interested in the poster child and then have you play them. So the problem is I see so many different dreadnoughts now. I see so many different ones. And it's constantly like you have to learn what a new dreadnought has. Like, oh, this is the Salamanders one? What did you give this one? Oh, that's crazy. Man. These are really cool. Oh yeah, mine, it's got a 5+ invuln. Oh, dude, we are powerful in sorcery. We are scary powerful in sorcery. We have some of the most efficient damage dealing potential in the game. Certainly a high point for us. It's just, I've always been a vehicle fan, and to not really want to use vehicles just due to how the detachment works makes me a little sad. It does. I love vehicles. It's the whole reason when I found out about Vashdor's detachment that I was like, you know what? I'll buy a Chaos Codex. I'll just kind of treat it like, you know, 1,000 Suns allied detachment, because the mark doesn't matter in the detachment. There's no, like, the mark gives you this bonus situation. The mark is just whatever. You don't even need a mark. None of it matters. So to be like, oh yeah, I themed all of my characters in here to basically be 1,000 Suns. It kind of works. It's nice. It's a nice little shift. I just really wish, like, knowing the vehicles that they've had in the past for the 1,000 Suns, and like how some other rule sets like 30K has access to these really cool concepts, like a psychic dreadnought, the Osiren. The thing walks around with basically a giant glaive as its melee weapon, and it's a psychic dreadnought. Dude, just give me that in 40K. Just give me a psychic dreadnought in 40K. That's all I want. Something a little extra. Something a little more flavorful. I don't mind the 40K one. I have him in a mask. I don't like the unmasked version of Magnus. I don't think the other heads look great. He does look very awkward, though. In that situation, it kind of sucks being one of, like, the early renditions of a Primarch. Because that always feels like the art department's testing stuff out. They're just like, oh, maybe this will work. Maybe this will hold. Maybe people will like this. And then you get to, like, Angron. And Angron's genuinely amazing looking. Took them a little more time to get there, man. They needed to cook a little more. Although the Fulgrim situation is a little awkward. I mean, I kind of get it. I've had it explained to me that he's... Well, I've had it suggested, not explained. Because, I mean, we don't really know the thought process behind it. But New Fulgrim is supposed to represent kind of like the warning about what excess does, right? It's why he looks really off. Like he's trying a little too hard. Whereas this one from 30K kind of tells the story of what it was like when it was effortless for him to just look kind of his best. It's just like, yeah, this is easy. This is just me all the time. I wake up with perfect flowing hair. But then the cost of his avarice just leads to, like, completely make-upped out just trying to cling to whatever semblance of, oh, this is still fine, guys. I'm still good. Don't worry about me. Still perfection over here. Still, though, that pose. Just being a screamer killer as a pose. Just give me a little more dynamic. That's all I want. Just slightly more. It'd be cool if they revealed that the way they designed the model, you could actually have him standing in like a ton of different poses. They're just like, oh yeah, everything's pretty adaptable. Check this out. Yeah, he has that straightforward screaming at you pose, sure, but then he has this pose, which makes it look like he's dodging out of the way. I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's actually really cool. Yeah, at this point, we're just waiting for Screamers to go back on sale. Because they are sold out in the US, it looks like. Because getting 3 full-size squads of Screamers should basically be the end game for my Chaos Demons. Not the best, but the difference between where they are now and where they will be in that situation is that they will be manageable. I will be able to strategically make decisions that benefit me as opposed to just trying to fight the flood of dying. "14-inch movement, built-in capability of killing vehicles and monsters, which is a heavy staple of what's on the field, while simultaneously having good enough melee stats that even if they don't aim for killing monsters, they'll be pretty happy killing just about anything else." Thanks, Arturo. What's up, JB? Welcome in, everyone. Just feeling kind of lonely in here, but it is to be expected. Starting stream at a weird hour. I feel like I need to wait for this to dry a little bit more. I feel like the white that I'm putting down, no matter what, keeps feeling like a little dirty. If that makes sense. Like it's pulling up the blue. So let's think on the swords. We tried doing a color and then applying black over top to kind of denote where maybe like a part of a stone would be. But I don't know. We could do just a more basic glowing, where we start with an extremely bright color, and then we just work into it with like almost a contrast or a shade that pulls it in a different direction. Just ever so slightly. Like a different hue almost. Oh, what up, Hungry? Could probably work on this pole here, too. I think we need gold there. Oh, thank you. I have yet another weird scheme / plan with what we can do with our videos. Make them maybe a little more visually interesting and potentially, yet again, the fingers crossed moment and hope, faster to produce. That would be wonderful. I have an idea for it. I have very large transport boxes, and as always, whenever they finally announce how big his base is, and I go, yay, and then I can actually glue him down. So the plan is you take maybe like 4 or 5 magnets, E6000 glue, and you put them in a ring around this middle bit down here. And one of the cases that I have would be wide enough to set him down on a single cookie sheet, which will just hold him in place. He's not going anywhere in that situation with that many magnets against a metal cookie sheet. He'll just be perfect. Other systems, I don't know if I have these like giant boxes that have flexible steel vinyl at the bottom of them. Don't know if I would trust him on those. Don't know if I would trust him. Just because those flexible steel vinyls, they are kind of magnetic, but if the character's heavy enough and the speed you're moving at is fast enough, he will slide around. I think I feel like they're gonna aim for him to be the same. I feel like that's their goal, is to actually be like, you know what? They're all gonna be basically on par with each other, not only in points, but in actual on-field value of what they're able to achieve. I think they are going to try to make that their goal with him. Because I think people who play Emperor's Children would be very angry with Games Workshop if they were like, he's 200 points less than the others and he's kind of garbage to take. Like, imagine day one just being like, check it out, Fulgrim. By the way, you're not going to want to use him because he's not good. So what? Why would you do that to us? Meanwhile, every World Eaters player is like, Angron's necessary. Most of the frickin' Death Guard players, although there's definitely reason to be like, They're like, yeah, Mortarion. Huzzah. Currently, every single Thousand Suns player is, if you're not running a Magnus, you're not doing it right. His spear is a little bent, but I'm kind of okay with it. I actually redid the tip, because the tip actually was a little bit off. The tip, when I glued it on, kind of shifted to the right a little bit, so it went in a straight line, but then tilted out that way. So I actually pulled it, reset it, put it back on as close to perfectly parallel as I could possibly get it. But this like S curve, I actually don't mind it just because of how the spine stuff is there to make it feel almost like, yeah, it's kind of like a slightly special spear. Like more designed, right? Like, yeah, you could have a straight spear or you could have a perfect spear, right? Like there's an element of ego in the spear's design. Like the whole like, oh, I know better kind of situation and how spears are supposed to look and work. So I was okay with it. I ended up, saw it and I was debating doing the whole hot water or blow dryer tricks to fix it. But then at some point I was just like, I'm actually okay. It's fine in that setup. Fulgrim does what he wants, man. Male, female, living, dead, couch, vehicle. That Land Raider is so thick. Can't resist. Oh yeah. Fulgrim will do anything with them. Start these up. I think Fulgrim's battle cry is the classic gamer Hoya. Hoya! He just runs around the field. Just hear that in the distance. Oh god, he's coming. In more ways than one. Question is, do I want to make all the swords the same color? I feel like if I make all 3 of them different, it's not going to look great. Like, it's just going to be too much. The thing is, I like to blend genres in a lot of the illustration work that I do. So it would be... Oh god, this thing moves every time and it freaks me out. It would be the cube from the Hellraiser series. And it would just be you open to the box. And then Fulgrim's just coming out of it and he goes, "And I care." That was the best. I don't play Dead by Daylight, but I watch a streamer who did. And when they were getting ready to release Pinhead, they did that beta test run with him where they had the voiceover line every single time that he would appear. When they used, when they were trying to solve the cube. Every single time, everyone on the map would just hear, "You opened the box, and I came." Just over and over and over and over again. It was so much. It was a little too crazy. A little too weird. When they finally put him out, they actually, I think, pulled that quote completely out of the game. Because it was just, that was it. That was it on Twitter. That was every moment on Twitter for that game was just freaking super cuts of that quote. Just non-stop. And I gotta hand it to them. I mean, they were going for, like, genuine voice lines and stuff. I mean, that is actually the voice line. He is the Primarch and the most favored champion of the mortal realm of Slaanesh in 40k. I feel like Slaanesh's favorite thing, though, is the entirety of the Drakari race. I mean, let's be real. This guy performed some crazy atrocities. But you check that Drakari resume, you're like, oh yeah. I think Slaanesh is more interested in these guys. Which kind of fits, because that basically means Slaanesh has daddy issues. Those dry. We'll think of what the secondary color is going to be. No, yeah, 90% of the Primarchs do, but Slaanesh, as a whole, as all of it, they definitely, I think, have more conceptual emphasis on being interested in Drakari and Eldari. Just because that's what made them. I mean, I don't think too many of the gods. I mean, maybe. So the running theory, of course, is that all of the Primarchs are actually sort of like demon, like big demons, like maybe bigger than Demon Prince's demons, wound up in mortal form, attached to a piece of genetics that the Emperor puts in them. So like, they're almost like super demons that just kind of exist. So maybe this one is kind of like more related to the Slaanesh side of things. So maybe there's like fun or interest in that way. But yeah, he's definitely top tier for it. But you gotta really look at like all of it, right? I mean, he's basically immortal, is the guess, I believe. But there's other like side things within Slaanesh that make you think, or at least Emperor's Children, that make you think like it's a little bit more widespread. Like, consider that Lucius is ostensibly immortal. At least he's been proven to be, more so than you would expect. Like, even the original curse of Lucius is expanded beyond its normal means, because that was the whole thing. Everyone was like, oh, if you kill Lucius and you gloat, you become Lucius. And it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's badass. Then they did the thing that I don't like in writing, where they were like, oh, we're gonna take that badass thing and then we're just gonna like make it a non-point, because there was a story where a Space Marine came along, killed him, didn't even think twice about it, and just kept going. Like, it was just another Tuesday for him. It was just, oh, dead. Keep going. Next. Let's go next. Kind of situation. And by the concept of the Curse of Lucius, that Space Marine, that should have been the end of Lucius. That should have been it. But Slaanesh was like, oh man. And then just made another one. Just put him back. They sent him back. It's like, all right, Lucius, you're back. Do over. Mulligan. So like, it kind of... It's just one of those situations, I guess. But I think for the most part, most of the gods, they don't really care as much about the factions that ally with themselves with them. Yeah, they just resurrected Lucius. They were like, eh, whatever. Which, like, I don't know. I was kind of hoping it'd be something crazy. But yeah, I don't think the gods care that much about them. I think it's more just like it's easier to interact with these guys on like a more direct manner, to empower them, to provide them boons. It's like one of those fun side things you do, because these are the direct connection to the Emperor, being who's like, haha, I'm so much more strong than the Chaos Gods. And the Chaos Gods are like, well, these are your sons, and this is what we're doing to them. Haha. What color do I want to paint the pole of his spear? Maybe black, which means we need to start with like a dark gray. Might potentially need ash white. Hit it with the Necromancer Cloak, probably. Big hopes for Emperor's Children book, though. Doom Rider. Doom Rider, new bikes. That's my big hope. They showed off the silhouette of Lucius. He looks cool, based on the silhouette alone. I can't wait for everything to get revealed as, like, this was a plan all along by the Chaos Gods. Like, he did go through, he did try to figure out how to secure power for the human race to set them up as one of the greatest things in the galaxy at the time. And it was mostly, like, give me the ability to access demonic power, and I'll provide you with so many souls. You know, as like a thing. But then he thought he could like outdo them and betray them. And that's why the whole Horus heresy happened. So at the end of the day, he did his whole approach to like the deal did still ring true. It just took a different turn, a different path. Everything's playing out the way Chaos wants it. And it kind of doesn't matter who wins or loses. At the end of the day, the warp wins. The secret is, even though they're sacrificing all those people to keep the Golden Throne going and believing it's keeping the Emperor going, the Emperor's been dead this whole time. He's just being puppeteered by the greater demons. Or the big demon gods. He's not actually there anymore. It'll end up being like the big Sigmar reveal. The whole idea of the promise of rebirth every time you die. And then it turns out that, like, yeah, your body comes back. But the thing that makes you you, that's slowly eroding away. At some point here, you're not going to be you anymore. I need to work up the talons a little bit more. The problem is the paint that I like using to start up all these talons is Leviathan Blue. It's a contrast paint, and even if it looks like it's got full coverage, if you wait for it to dry, it always like bubbles off of some areas. So you have to like hit it 2 or 3 times, which kind of sucks. Automod, why? I feel like there could be a little more to it. Like, depending on how you view the understanding of the greater galaxies, right? Like the stuff beyond our galaxy. The concept, the prospect that everything beyond our galaxy is already dead. That the Tyranids have basically already won across the universe, and we're like the last bastion of life. And maybe the deal was probably struck because the Emperor knew it. And he knew that our galaxy needed to be like this most ridiculous working super soldier machine. And that the concept of like complacency is going to get us all killed. So maybe he triggered the dark age of technology, that kind of stuff, to force us to have to like really work and pick up arms and do everything we can to fight back and be battle hardened. And that the demons themselves knew that since their entire plane of existence is based on our universe and the energies put in on both sides, and that if our universe vanishes, then there's maybe nothing or just not enough. All questions. Like what we're getting hit with is the intrinsic good that requires the death of millions on a constant basis. It's a fun concept to think about. Like, what if that really is it? This whole time it was just that the Tyranids were such an insurmountable, undefeatable enemy that we needed this constant treadmill of fighting in order to be prepared for them and to hold against them as best as we can to weather the storm until perhaps they maybe run out of material one day and we can finally declare victory. But until then, we're basically fighting against the entire weight of dead galaxies. Even though the Nids don't like the Necron, the Nids, I imagine, would not enjoy the idea of the Necron being able to do what they want. And also, the core... I think they explained that some of the core concept of what the Necrons want now, like some of the driving force, is to become mortal again. Because they don't... Even though they don't age and die, they can get, like, obliterated, right? Like, they can sort of die. Like, every individual Necron that dies carries a lot of weight with it because you cannot produce more. What you have is what you have. So all the empires that are waking up, like, that's it. Like, those are your resources. You don't get anything else. You'll have to build vehicles and do all this and try your best with what you have to keep it going. And the idea was they wanted to try to become mortal again so that they could, you know, go back to expanding their empire, maybe solve the issue that they had before of their, like, radioactively short lifespans. Because if you can get pulled into immortality by a god, and then you yourself can figure out how to get the hell out of that, you can almost choose what kind of mortality you want. Like, choose your lifespan, choose kind of how you're gonna be. And then they'd have all the same tech that they have before, which could lead to some pretty strong things. But since they're not really there yet, I feel like letting the Tyranids do what they're gonna do could cause problems. And I don't know if the Tyranid would be like, cool not dealing with them. I feel like the Tyranid approach would end up being like, have a Zoanthrope eat a really powerful Psyker and then blow up a planet or something. Just find all the Necron planets and just blow them up. Because that was the whole thing, right? Like, a Zoanthrope ate one of those Soul Stone collections that the Eldari have, and then just blew up a planet. Alright, Arturo. Which kill team should I play on Saturday, chat? I got a casual game scheduled for Saturday. I don't know if I want to Angels of Death someone yet. I don't have Jaegers. I almost had Jaegers. I was going to pick them up, but I grabbed Mandrakes instead. Because again, the local game store curse. I walked in there going, oh, well, I started the drive there going, I'm going to get some Jaegers. And then by the time I got there, the Jaegers were gone. The Jaegers that had been sitting on that shelf for like half a year. Like, they've been there for a while. I was like, hey, let's do it. They're gone. But they had the mandrakes, so I went, alright. I'll take mandrakes, which are basically just Harlequins 2.0. Let's do it. And they're fun. Mandrakes are awesome. I love them a lot. But I already shellacked them once with mandrakes. See, I kind of want to avoid... Okay. I'd say this. If the data slate drops before Saturday, and it does have some clear things in there that bring a lot of the Astartes rules to heal, I'll play Plague Marines. I'll do it. But until that moment, because the person I'm playing against, I believe, is either playing Ratlings or Commandos. I do not have Striking Scorpions. My friend has Blades of Cain. And he also, I don't remember if he purchased this all by now. He was supposed to have the full Striking Scorpion box, and then he was debating at the time grabbing all the Dire Avengers, I believe, is the ones, the extra ones. It's whatever the Guardian ones are. I can't remember if it's Dire Avengers or something else. And then he was going to grab all the Howling Banshees. So he was going to have all options, which, that sounds kind of cool. But I don't know. But he's the one that has them. I picked up the scouts off of him. And I'm missing one dagger scout because I finished painting them. I finished painting the scouts that I made right as they released the free scout, which would have given me a fun knife. I think Corsairs? I've been playing so much Corsairs, man. Maybe. I could be okay with Corsairs. No, yeah. He might... The thing is, he's kind of new. He plays a little bit with his friends. But he might play Ratlings, because I know he said he was eyeballing them before he was... beforehand. I think the problem was he was like, yeah, I can't wait to get them. And then I pointed out they were sold out. And he was like, no! So maybe he got them. I don't know if he did. But Oghren, he keeps pointing out that, like, oh, I could go all Oghren. And I think he might be the kind of person who's like, yeah, all Oghren. And it's like, cool, you've got 6 2 APL guys on the field or whatever it is. Like, it's a lot of wounds, but it's just a bunch of 2 APL that can't hit anything. It's not great. So it just comes down to the question of, like, what is he bringing? What do I want to bring? I don't know, man. Maybe the Corsairs. I do have a lot of Corsairs. I'm gonna miss them when they're gone at the end of the year from a competitive, but I don't really play a lot of competitive. In competitive, I will be playing mostly Mandrakes and Plague Marines. I'm trying to think of what to do with these weapons. Yeah, Oxidized Plague Marines always look cool. We can keep working on the talons and teeth, though, I think, for this. Because the Leviathan Blue, it helps as, like, a base, but then you need to get, like, some dark blues to put down. I have recorded 2 battle report attempts involving Corsairs and Harlequins. And both times I've recorded them, they've kind of ended up not that great visually. Like, there's always something off, and I'm starting to figure out what to change about the camera to make it look better. The question is whether or not I can do a 4K input with the camera. I don't know how to trigger that. If that's something I have to set up. Because I'm pretty sure this is a 4K camera. I'm pretty sure. Dude, new Plague Marines are all about just poisoning, watching stuff happen. It's so angering. Like, that poison roll is going to get a rework. I won't be surprised if poison only triggers once before it doesn't trigger again. I won't be surprised if you have to repaint poison on things to keep them getting poisoned. Like, poison is officially one of the most horrifying things for a low health army. You just spread poison as much as possible from some of the torrent and larger scale attacks that you have access to that do like no damage but poison. And that's it. They're dead. Like, just wait it out. They're dead. There's nothing they can do to you. It's just so crazy. The Hand of the Archon has access to one unit that can do like a poison style interaction. And that was annoying as hell when I found that out. Back when they were first released. It was such a crazy debuff. And then for like the entirety of the Plague Marines to be like, hey, we poison. It's like, you guys are assholes. Why? Do not like. I do like that when I think they changed it when the Death Guard came out, but the higher tech explicitly claim that poison is removed when they die before they resurrect. So it's kind of cool that they were like, yeah, this is how you get rid of that buff. So what kind of, like, what are we talking about, intro game? Dive a little more in on me. Like, the people playing, have they ever played a tabletop game? Is it a one-on-one interaction? Have they read the rules and understand at least some of it to the point where it's not that big of a deal for you to immediately jump in and just be like, all right, let's get to the rules. Let's start playing a game. Because something I've sort of figured is a good idea in most of these situations is to actually kind of do one-off scenarios, right? Kind of show people what obscuring looks like. Show people what cover looks like. Run them through the benefits and negatives of that, because the vision in Kill Team is a little bit of a struggle bus. One-on-one, all I know is he asked me to be... This guy dropping a term I gotta look up, because I haven't used it before. Oh, it's just teaching. Teaching from lesson plans to approach. Okay. So you don't know. So yeah, so you don't know anything else about him. You don't know if he's played 40K or anything remotely related to this style of tabletop game or any kind of skirmish games. Okay. It would probably be a good idea to start small. I'm guessing you're bringing teams, or does he have a team he's going to try to play with you? Or is it more like, hey, can you bring 2 teams and some terrain or something? Because at that point, I'd almost say if you have enough stuff to field 2 highly similar teams, that might be a good way to start. And if those 2 teams feel kind of close to a basic spot, maybe. I mean, there's really no team in my head where I'm like, oh yeah, that's a basic team. I mean, even Angels have their own craziness about them. Angels would probably be the closest, just because you can even, at the beginning of the game, be like, well, I'm going to go with this and this as my enhancement. You can pick enhancements as well. Oh, so Mandrakes and Jaegers. That's actually not bad. Jaegers are pretty cool. Mandrakes, like, do you know how to play Mandrakes? Because there's a lot. Mandrakes have so many rules. So much insanity. They're my main team right now. I have Plague Marines, but by God, do I mostly just play Mandrakes. And they are so crazy. The teleportation, the way it works, how In Shadow works, the concept of having to Balefire target people, the idea of APL being the armor save, no piercing work. Like, dude, so much. They're so good. And then Jaegers are just generally fun. Oh, this is going to be the kind of problem, though. Because my issue is when the last 2 battle reports I've recorded, I've had to play both sides, basically. I've had to, like, memorize the rules for both sides, pull them out. And that's kind of the issue, is that during the course of play, I'll have a moment where I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure this is the rule. And then I'll just do it, and we'll just keep going. And I won't go back. And then afterwards, when I'm sitting here and I'm, like, getting the script together and double-checking everything, next thing I know, I'm like, oh, that's not the rule for that team. God damn it. And it's like, it's too much of that starts happening. And I'm just like, well, that's the end of that video. Oh, well. And it's difficult to put in your brain box the full rules of 2 teams at all times and how they interact, especially if one of them's a freaking Mandrake team. So something to start with would probably be taking 2 kind of common units. The Mandrake box is good for this, and the Jaeger box is good for this. Oh, Night Lords or Legionaries? Okay. I mean, he might just have the Night Lords because you can use them as either, or he might have Legionaries and just use them as either. Because most of the specialists are exactly the same. Like, there's very little difference between the 2. At which point, if he has like 2 warriors, like 2 basic warriors, you can run a bunch of small test scenarios to show him basic gists. Compartmentalize every moment in that game for every action. Basically, if you pull up the light rules, it'll tell you, like, reposition. Show him the elements of reposition as, like, the per rule concept. Like, you can't do half measurements in reposition. You have to measure full inches for every interaction during that process to get to where you're going. And just kind of cover that mildly quickly, pause for questions. And then as you get through all that and you maybe cover how cover and obscuring works to the best of your ability, what you can then do is set up a game using kind of like a basic team list maybe, or even like a reduced team list. You can almost just do like half team lists and then put like one objective in the middle to run a test game of just general take and hold. Or you could NPO. I do think NPO has place in teaching Kill Team. I do think running NPOs could be it. You could basically go, all right, pick the team you want to play. I will play half of them. That way he can at least see how half of the units can be used to understand, like, oh, that's how that works. But then you bring an NPO team, right? You'll bring an NPO team that you're like, okay, this should be fun to play into. Which against Night Lords and Legionaries, you might want to do a pretty hefty blend of maybe like 3 or 4 big guys and then like a bunch of little ones that have more guns maybe than melee, or maybe not. So whatever you got kind of laying around that you could be like, that's a fun NPO squad. You just bring it. You set up the mission NPO style and you play an NPO game using half of his team. And just show him like, all right, I'm going to take this first activation. I'm going to run you through exactly what I'm doing. One of the big things you're probably going to want to teach early on is the concept of playing by... oh my God, I'm spacing on the word. Intent. There we are. Playing by intent. It is a very important concept in pretty much anything Games Workshop, where you do something, or in the process of doing something, you explain, hey, I'm doing this because I'm expecting that in this situation, even if you're up there, you don't really have a rule that should see me in this situation. And it kind of teaches people to ask those questions. Like, hey, do you have anything that'll have like seek heavy or seek light? Like, what am I dealing with that could see me if I'm maybe on this wall and conceal? And if someone's like, oh yeah, I have a gun with seek, that kind of gives you the knowledge of like, oh, okay, I should probably be very careful of my positioning. Maybe try to do more with obscuring. So playing by intent, like you take the first activation, do an NPO maneuver, because NPO maneuvers are, at the beginning of the game, it's always this concealed unit moves. And then there you go. Next. Then let him go and talk out what he's trying to do, what he thinks he wants to do in sort of simple terms. And then you can kind of have a back and forth conversation of, you can do that, but this is going to be the outcome. Like if he wants to just move out into the open, he's like, oh, I'm durable enough. You'd be like, okay, you can do that, but then you're not going to be able to move that unit for the rest of the turn. Every unit that activates over there is probably going to go engage and shoot you. It's not just about being durable for one round of fire. You got to be durable for all of it. Like that kind of stuff. Yeah, intent is huge. Playing by intent is a massive tool to be learned in tabletop gaming. It helps the conversation. It smooths out the gameplay. Occasionally when I'm playing, if I start to mentally shut down and hyper focus on every little thing I'm trying to do to master my movement, that's always when I have that moment of like, yes, I figured it out, and then I get charged through a wall and killed, and I'm like, oh, I didn't figure it out. That's great. All right, we let this dry a little bit. I should probably switch over to this brush. Because, like, yeah, moving up a wall against Corsairs and being like, this is fine, and then the Corsair player blinks a frickin' Shade Runner through the wall and kills you. It's like, oh, I did not. Okay, you should have asked. The sportsman concept is always that if somebody isn't necessarily playing by intent and asking questions, like, properly, that when an action is taken, you as the player on your side at least gives like a slight warning. Like I've done this before where my opponent will move into an area and I'm like, just so you know, from there, because of these rules, I will be able to shoot you or get to you in melee. And then they're like, oh, well, where could I go if I don't want to get into melee? And it's like, and that's how you play by intent. Let me know what you're looking to do, and I can maybe sort of barter with you as to what action you can take that will best serve your interests. We're going to need a slightly lighter blue, I think, to really push this kind of feeling. Need to make a call on what kind of blue, though. I'm a big fan of not painting black. Like, instead, just going blue. Big fan. And for things that could probably be easily discerned as black, to instead just focus on the gray tones. It just works so much better, I think. Visually, it's just more appealing. Music! Also, if possible, don't hesitate. Post up the what you're working on in the Works in Progress page on our Discord. Always cool to see stuff. I am tired. I want to do a little more with these. Also, who's going to LVO? We do have someone in our Discord right now who's going in for Kill Team, but it's mostly to show off their painting. They did a fun conversion. They did take the Bumblebee route. For their Vespids. But they actually made it kind of fun. They used grass tufts to sort of create that faux collar look. That like fur collar type situation that a lot of bees have. Pretty cool. I have to try to figure out how to tiny brush some silver on. Works in progress. What we got? Yeah, cruel boy. Starting from a very blue-green position with the orc skin. Nifty. Silver heads. Chianti. Like lighter yellowish green. Like a yellow white. Solid approach. Little eye. Got the little pupil going. Word. What else we got? Yeah. Some old world. Going for the metal tones. Got that dry brush crisscross look. Classic. Painted on. Fun concept, actually, with this. This was something I learned forever ago. This was a trick that they did in like the old times of painting like this. Because you're trying to get that like yellow over the metal. There's a method of doing this that involves black outlining and then doing the silver almost to the edge, but like leaving the black. That way it looks like chipped paint. Like there's an extra layer above the metal that's just like a slight off, like chippy black line. Ooh, neat. Mordheim. I gotta look at these before full screening them, so it's not like, oh, that's your home address. Like, yeah. The classic. I don't like this. I mean, no, I'm not saying I don't like it on here. My favorite chain fist I've ever made was for my old Obliterator stand-ins that I made out of a couple Terminators and a metric ton of green stuff and Dreadnought bits, where I actually took a regular old power fist, I cut all the fingers off, and then I took 4 chain swords and converted every finger into a chain sword in like a way where it actually worked. Like they weren't all pressed together. They were kind of like fanned out and opened up. But like this is the new chain fist that I've seen, and I'm like, it's okay. It's a little weird, but it's okay. I was just really hoping at some point they'd be like, yo, actual fist fingers. Yeah. Get grippy with it. Fun concept for this, for caution. I'm guessing your process is yellow and then applying black, right? Something that was kind of cool that I got shown is something I was debating doing on this model, actually. No, yeah. I mean, if that's all you got. If you have access to contrast paints, and you happen to have a yellow contrast paint, usually Zealot Yellow is good for this, from the Army Painter line, or an equivalent, of course, from Games Workshop or anything. Oh, they're paying? Okay. But the way to do this, that's kind of like a cool, fast way, it's one of my favorite ways of doing it right now, is paint the whole thing white, do the black as you want for striping, which lets you, if you have a good enough white, go back and forth between black and white to try to perfectly design the stripes the way you want. Let it dry, hit it with the yellow speed paint. It looks so good. So, I wonder if I have... I think I have one. Hang on. Let me, right monitor. Fade back in. Ooh, more stuff. We'll take a look at it in a second. Let me go grab my Iron Warriors. That's no problem, bro. You don't have to be here. There's no required attendance. Pretty sure I did it with this shoulder pad, which we will try to focus in on. So the approach, like I said, is you just do white the whole surface, and then you do black in the stripes you want, and you can make adjustments with white as you go, because it's so much easier to do that than to try to readjust with yellow, because yellow hates going over anything that isn't a super light color. Whereas if you have a really good, really high pigment, smooth application white, it just works, and it's good. So once I got the stripes the way I wanted, I went and I grabbed my Zealot Yellow. I just went over top of it. Super fun. Super quick way to do caution. The little caution chevrons. I learned at first, the first couple Iron Warriors I made for myself before I bought another batch to try to finish out the models I needed. I learned the, what was his name? Duncan Rhodes system. Yeah, Fiendish Yellow could be good. Zealot Yellow is great because Zealot Yellow goes to orange a little bit, which I like. It feels more weathered. But I learned the Duncan Rhodes method early on, where he was like, okay, Averlin Sunset, apply, what was it? Cassandara onto it as like a shader, and then carefully do black over top of that to finish it out. And the level to which I was like, no, every single time my hand like went slightly off kilter and like the bristles went away, I didn't want them to go. It was like, no, no. It was so bad. And then I was just looking around online. Someone was like, hey, check this out. White, black, army painter, zealot yellow, chevrons. And I was like, you bastard. That's so easy. God damn. So good. See, we got more WIPs. Oh god, we got hit with WIPs. They're everywhere. We'll take a minute. We'll take a break. What time is it? 5:15. We'll take a slight break because I do kind of want to try to finish these swords now, and then at that point we're pretty much on small details because I don't want to finish his base, like I said. I can show you guys what it's going to look like with the powder, because I don't mind putting the powder down on his part of the base. That's fine, because I think we're going to use an alternate color to coral. We might use pink as a primary, and then very small hits, I want to say, of blue. I think that could be really cool. I'm not sure. We'll take a look. But before then, you know, just let me check this, make sure there's no home address. That's always a blooded. I do think I'm gonna miss you. I see him. I see him back there. I do think I'm gonna miss these guys. Oh, should I play cultists? I haven't played cultists yet, and I loved cultists before. Oh, I know they suck now, but I kind of want to play them. Like, I want to play them in their alternate state of not being so good. Or maybe no one's playing them because they're too afraid they're... I don't know what's happening. I got to take a look at their rules. Yeah, blooded. Hell yeah. Take a look over here. Nice, nice. Okay, bam. Green and white's always a good color combo. I like orange and white too, so having both on the same one, it's kind of nice. Do you play Chaos Cults or Blooded? Because I kind of want to play Chaos Cults. I did so much work on my Chaos Cults to make them look as good as humanly possible. And then I was playing them because I was like, yay, a ramp team. And then they were super meta. They were the end-all, be-all of the meta. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to keep playing them, but I don't want to be a dick. No. Uh-oh. This shot might be too sexy for TV. Butt shot. And because everyone kind of loves the idea of them until you realize you have to lean left or right just to see. Unicycle. Is that gun barrel pointing at the wheel? No, that's got to be the perspective, right? What else we got here? We got 3D prints. Looking. Yeah. Very Ellisidian. Yeah, very Ellisidian. You got the dog. dual pistol wielder. You got the Gatling gun user. Guessing this is the murder assassin. A slightly more pompous looking Elysidian. Oh, you guys are going ham in the works in progress frickin' posts. Rah. I always do love the Death Guard helmets that are just like dots for eye holes. Classic. Some blue, some like Fenris gray, Fenris blue. Aquilons. I don't like these models. I still don't. I get them. I've heard a lot of people say they're pretty cool with them. I don't know. I just don't like them. There's something about them that just doesn't feel that interesting to me. Like, I don't know. It's my own personal preference, of course. I'm not saying that, like, they're the worst. They're definitely not the worst. It's just something about them where I'm like, eh. I don't know. Maybe it's this. Like, this very chaosy feeling side plating, like, trim on a unit that 100% is not chaos. It just feels off. Something about it. That's what you get in the Games Workshop universe. Things you love, things you don't really care for. Not everything's a hit, not everything's a miss. It's one of the grand adaptable concepts that keeps giving us crazy models. I want to push the tassels all the way up through orange, I think. Where's my Fear Dragon? Fear Dragon. This is so orange, dude. My problem is Fire Dragon orange. I feel like, oh good, it's smooth. I don't think I've owned a Fire Dragon orange that hasn't like immediately dried out. Oh, nice. Take this all the way to orange. Not hyper saturated orange necessarily, but decent enough saturation, I think. I'm gonna look at the cultist rules tonight. See if it's something I want to actually try. Cause God, like, my whole thing is, I played Magic the Gathering heavily as a kid. I mean, at this point, who didn't, right? Right? Am I right? We're all nerds. Ha. Dude, I remember I was at an anime convention in Baltimore back in '04. I remember just sitting in the lobby because we took a ton of caffeine pills. I remember sitting in the lobby at like 3 in the morning. We were playing Magic the Gathering. With just random nerds that were also going to the same anime convention. And we were getting propositioned by ladies of the night. Actual, like real. Not lying. Actually happened. It was a weird weekend. It was the weekend that kind of solidified my core friend group, though. Shared trauma, I guess. It is very hard to work on this monster size thing. Trying to maintain the camera on it a little bit. There we go. Let me think, let me think. Do a little bit more with the horns. And then we gotta pick the final color for the blades. So we did deep blue. I gotta get like a mid blue. Don't think I want it to be this one. I don't think I want it to be rust gray. Rust gray is awesome though. If you don't have a tone like this in your collection, you really need to get it. This, like most people are like, oh, I need a mid gray. This is it, because it's slightly blue, which is so good. Tried ultramarine, it sucked. High saturation crystal blue. It's like a mid gray, but it's high saturation. Might need to pull this mixer over here. Mixer, go! Making leg feel funny. Oh. I really need a push pin on hand. Oh, I have... Completely forgot. I bought paper clips. For all the pinning we did. Which is probably the only reason why this guy isn't falling apart every time I pick him up. Let's see if we can nail this. And then I might have to bail and make dinner. Because I'm hungry. Might have one more stream in me with this guy, though. Because redoing the hair, I got to redo all the little gold stuff now on it. There's like small details we really got to work on. I might not finish the swords today, if I'm being honest. Yeah, getting a little hungry. And I make bad decisions when I'm hungry. Like, I will rush through components on this guy because I'm like, oh, need to get some food. Screw it, I don't care. Bright colors. Let's just flick paint at it. I need out. Yeah, super excited. Game on Saturday. Might take my Corsairs as per request. But also might Chaos Cultist. Because I do kind of miss them. Chaos Cultist kind of messed with me too. I was recording that whole thing. Oh, thank you. I try to give us at least a little bit of sense of productivity. My biggest issue with the Chaos Cultists actually is on a content creation standpoint. I was so excited. My buddy was super happy to get the Inquisition team, because that's like his jam. He loves that. He loves the whole witch hunt theme. He loves all that. So he was so excited to get him. And he had a lot of different teams that worked with them as allies. So that was kind of cool. We were so excited to play. I was actually considering what I was looking at in like the general stats. I was actually expecting to lose. I was like, oh man, the way this is going to work out, it's like they sort of want the cultists to lose. Okay. But then I started seeing in practice how it worked. And I started seeing the paths to victory. And I was like, oh god, I don't think there's a way the cultists lose. Oh no. It was bad. The cultists were basically just a guarantee I win button 9 times out of 10 after they came out. Aw, man, you almost killed me. Good thing I'm gonna mutate and be at full health again. They had, out of every team in the game, they had the most AP, the most health, and some of the most next to the Vet Guard. They had like the most 2 GA units in the game. They had wildly good abilities too. They were one of the few teams that finally were getting persistent icon abilities. I love persistent abilities. I'm so happy that so many more teams have persistent abilities this time around because they're good. I love the persistent abilities. There's value in having them. Let me just quickly work this up a little bit near the top. And they were one of the few that had an icon bearer that had really good abilities that lasted between rounds. They were one of the few teams that had 2 units that activated kind of like 2 GA, but so much better than 2 GA. And they still do, to my understanding. I gotta look back at them. But the Twin Blades, those 2 blade users who get to activate at the same time if they're within range of each other, and you can do in order. Well, you basically have 4 APL to work with, and you can do in order whatever you want. So it was always charge with both. That way you get support in melee every single time with an extremely powerful weapon. And I think with them, you always gave one of them the icon that could like negate a damage or something. Like it was some benefit of defense, and you would always give it to one of them that would open the first time. They were so strong because they just had these extremely powerful lethal 5 swords. God, the things I did with them. I took out warriors with them. They were absolutely wild. For now, I think we stop here. That way, tomorrow, potentially, most likely, I will get to work. There we go. I'll get to work on the blades. We'll start working on like minor detail things, like all the little gold tassels in his hair that I covered up with white. But I gotta get to cooking some rice, because I need rice for the curry I made a few days ago. It's a really good curry. Frickin' delicious. He's good though. I'm gonna try to get a good picture of him. Not the easiest, considering how bright he is compared to the background, and I will post it up in the works in progress section in our Discord, so you guys can check them out. I'll try to get some detail shots too. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling. Hopefully, if you guys haven't seen it already, I did drop a Hyrotech video. Even if you don't plan on playing the Hyrotech, it might be good to, you know, get some of that info together in preparation for a game. It could be useful knowledge, as I do think after the data slate drops, I feel like the Hyrotech are going to be skyrocketed a little bit, because nobody's really talking about them as being really good. They're just talking about the Astartes, specifically because of how the Overwatch works now. And specifically with the Astartes. So I think the Hyrotech aren't going to take too much punishment from whatever the data slate's going to be. I don't have aforementioned knowledge of any of that, so I could be completely wrong. But I don't think they're going to get hit that hard, which means if the Astartes do get hit really hard, Higher tech are suddenly going to be very good at the game, which could be really nice for all you higher tech players out there. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling. Hopefully your hobbies are going all right. Hopefully your games are going all right. Hopefully I can get some stuff together over the next couple days to speed up yet again, hopefully, the process of making videos, because I would really like to do that and also improve quality of it. I think I'm going to work at 1440p for upcoming videos. That way they can be a little bit sharper than what I've been noticing recently. So it'd be nice. Till then, guys. Later. Oh, studio mode. Why you do this to me?